I'm an American Israeli. My mother was born in Jerusalem in 1928 and raised there, became a violinist, and eventually moved to the US where she met my father. My father was in the medical corps in World War II and was at Dachau concentration camp right after its liberation and became a court psychiatrist to certify the Nazis as competent to serve to be on trial. So I grew up deeply steeped in the history of Israel with many visits, working on kibbutzim in Israel. I speak the language. I went to a Hebrew day school for 12 years in New York and am deeply rooted in both the U.S. and in Israel, with a long history of having studied the history and the culture, and of course being with my beloved relatives and friends in Israel. And having taken my daughters there. I am an entrepreneur, a biotech entrepreneur. I'm originally a physician. I started a company out of my second bedroom called Accorda, which eventually developed a number of drugs to help people with MS and Parkinson's, and I was CEO of that company for 30 years. What I've learned about leadership in that process is that leaders, the best leaders, the real leaders, think about the people they are leading far more than they ever think about themselves. And they think about what is best for the people they are leading. And when I look at this election, I see the usual flack that's thrown up in terms of disinformation. Today, I just saw about a 10-page treatise on Kamala Harris and all of the detailed reasons why I shouldn't vote for her. But I am voting for her. And I'm voting for her because I've been observing her. And I learned as a CEO of my company to observe people very closely as a scientist and as a human being to see what they were made of and what they could contribute and how I could help them contribute. And when I look at Kamala Harris, I see what we would call a mensch. I see a real human being, someone who cares, someone who understands what it means to lead people for the benefit of the whole, not for herself. When I look at Donald Trump, I see the opposite. I see, honestly, what we would call in Hebrew a pera adam. He is diagnosable, he is not trustworthy, and the mistake I think many people make is they listen to what he says, but he says what is expedient in that second for himself and for no one else, and all of his behaviors, all of the betrayals of everyone, eventually, whoever follows him, it tells you what we could expect. Whereas with Kamala Harris, if you just saw the debate and you knew nothing else about her, and you saw that debate, you saw what you needed to see. You saw someone who was self-confident, who knew what it is she wanted to accomplish on behalf of the people, pressing the buttons on this man who lost complete control of himself, which is the opposite of what a leader does. So as a Jew, as a half Israeli, as someone who cares deeply about the existence and survival and thriving of Israel, I don't see a choice here. It has to be Kamala Harris.
Ron, thank you so much. And